Before I go live tonight, I wanted to make a quick video, basically just talking about some news that came out recently regarding Russia and what is going on with SWIFT and the payment systems that are being changed currently. And what I mean by that is that there's this common narrative that Russia is being isolated from the world. Now, I dug a little bit deeper, and that's not entirely true. It depends on what you mean by the world. First of all, China, India, Brazil, and Turkey, really massive countries, are not only on Russia's side, but for the last 3 years, they've been collaborating together to create an alternative for the SWIFT payment system and to create alternatives for the petrodollar for the last 3 years. When Putin went to China during the Olympics, he signed like a dozen or two different, basically, financial agreements with China, basically backing each other up in every conceivable way financially. And you really think that countries of this magnitude can't take on the Western powers? I think they can. And I think they have been. This has been sort of like a trick in a sense all along. Um, Possibly pre-planned in some, maybe they really are colluding together to some degree. I don't know, but it just seems oddly suspicious that these sanctions were placed on Russia right when they're actually in the final stages of completing this alternative payment system for oil based on the yuan, the Chinese yuan. So what does that mean? I don't know, I don't know. It depends. I think that eventually, probably sooner rather than later, the petrodollar will complete. I mean, look, we're 30 trillion in debt. We're 30 trillion in debt, and it doesn't make any sense for the globe to continue trusting our dollar if they're going to be sensible and if we're going to be realistic with ourselves too. And it's kind of freaky to think about, but you already know how much inflation there is. You see it yourself. So if they switch on to this, other system, and keep in mind, I'm no financial expert by any means, obviously. I just stated the obvious. But I think that would create hyperinflation like almost immediately. Basically, I think what happened was that Putin has like different plans, like strategic plans with China in the event of a certain scenario. So the best case scenario, this doesn't end up being a third world war, but it ends up just being exclusively a financial war where they plan on working together to get off the dollar. Basically, this is like the dollar has a stranglehold on the world because of oil, and it's been that way since the 70s. And if that's the case, if this, then they're gonna win. They're gonna be the winners. So Russia is hurting right now. Of course, there have been very negative effects from all these sanctions. I think. I mean, yes, it's obvious, but I think in the long run, they might be better off if this doesn't go full nuclear. But the thing is that there's a good chance that it will go full nuclear, and if it does, I also think that China, Russia, numerous other countries, possibly even Brazil, have made secret alliances to fight the West in the event of a worst case scenario. And that's why Russia came out with an article today talking about bombing NATO convoys. They've never been this open about it. They've never been this completely overt in their statements like they were today. And they wouldn't be that suicidal or crazy to do that if they didn't have the backing of other massive governments. Brazil, certainly not a superpower, but I would say that they are one step below a superpower. And so is Turkey. Turkey has their own inflation problems and serious problems of their own, but I would not call them a weak country themselves. And India, of course, India and China, you guys already know. I do consider India a superpower by this stage, and China is obviously has become number one. I mean, but nobody wants to admit it. Uh, you know, apparently they have a new Rona outbreak there and locked down another massive city, though. So the point is that I think they have contingency plans for a variety different types of scenarios. But the main point being, the main goal to rid the world of fiat currencies, right? Eventually, maybe before that, at least get rid of the dollar and the Western dominance. That's why in the news lately, there's been people and Pentagon officials talking about China wants to start a new world. They're talking about a new world order in the open. They're saying words like World War III in the open. Um, it's a pretty fishy situation, no matter how you look at it. I think there have been massive alliances made. I think North Korea has Russia's backing. Iran, Brazil, Turkey, China, India. They're not isolated from the world, guys. Not they're isolated from half of the world, the Western world. That's who they're isolated from now. But there's like this really cryptic wording going on here and trickery in terms of the way words are used in the media and how they portray what is going down. And then I don't even want to get into the biolabs. I just think that maybe one of them has the zombie virus that we've been all been talking about all the years, and maybe they're gonna unleash that from one of those labs. I believe they're real now though. So I don't know. I'll see you guys live tonight. 7:45 Pacific. And we'll talk about oh man. We'll talk about the one thing